So today we're going to talk about some of the tough realities of being a music maker. You know, for me personally, it's taken a long time to come to terms with the fact that there are many aspects to making music which just suck, which I'm sure many of you will resonate with as well. And if you're new to this whole music making thing, then this might just be what you need to help keep you on the ground before you start to float off into the oblivion. And if you do love what I do, then drop a comment below because little things like that really help. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's get into it. So to kick things off, there is absolutely no doubt about it that making music is fucking hard work. I put this at number one because this is the most common issue that I've seen with my students over the years. I used to teach a lot of DJs how to make music, and that transition from DJing to making music or producing is a huge fucking wake-up call. Most of these blue flamers would come into the studio super naive with an attitude like they have this whole music making thing figured out, which was mostly fueled by their own insecurities, and would very quickly realize that making music versus playing music is a very different ballgame. And it's somewhat hard to see that reality set in sometimes. Not to say that there isn't hope for the DJs out there who want to get into making music, but that instant gratification that you get from playing music, you'll need to park that for a few years. Making music is fucking hard work. Okay, so this one is a bit of a no-brainer. To get up and running, we're going to have to spend some money. Making music is somewhat of a privilege, to be honest, because even with a DAW like Ableton Live, which you can download for free for 90 days, you're still going to need a laptop and a decent pair of headphones before you can even get started. Now, I'm a strong believer in making music with the tools that you have available to you. I focus all my teaching around what comes in the box with a DAW, and that there really is no need for all the fancy gear, it's just a luxury. But if you're just starting out and looking to get into this business and taking it a little bit more seriously, then be prepared to break your bank account a few times over. I would say that the majority of my life making music has been alone. I used to play in bands for many years where we would meet once a week to rehearse or to gig, but since making the switch to the producer life, I have spent the majority of my time in my studio by myself making music like a loser for fucking years. I've collaborated with people on projects, usually remotely, but that certainly doesn't replace the fact that you're still alone in a room entertaining yourself on a daily basis. It can be hard to keep spirits high at the best of times, and this honestly leads to excessive phone use and constantly checking social media. I mean, my wife comes to visit me here sometimes to bring me coffee as the highlight of my day. That starvation of social interaction can really take its toll. I actually really enjoy being by myself, which is why I think making music suits me so well, but that's not to say that I want to be alone. It's just easier to manage if you're okay with a certain level of isolation. Now, when we're stuck in the studio grinding away on our music, it can be really easy to neglect actually taking care of ourselves. Not getting enough sunshine, or grabbing some quick, easy bites and just bringing it back to the studio, or not even eating at all. There's also the fact that we're in front of screens and sitting down for long periods of time. Now, this is no different to an office job, so I think it should be viewed in the same light, and that it's easy to overlook the simple stuff, like getting some sunshine, clocking up enough steps for the day, staying active, and just nourishing the body with what it needs. The more you can take care of yourself, the better your experience making music will be. Trust me on that. Now, this is somewhat related to point number 3 on isolation. Not only does making music lend itself to isolation, I also find that it encourages a certain level of selfishness that takes us away from spending time with other people. Anytime a mate messages me wanting to go out for beers, I'm like, I could go out for beers, but then I'm going to come home late, have a shit sleep, wake up feeling like crap, and ultimately be ruined for my next session in the studio. Honestly, when making music is that important to you, you start making these sacrifices because time spent working on music is so much more important than another night out on the piss. Obviously, we have to strike a balance and not completely shut ourselves off from the rest of society. But honestly, you will have to start saying no to things and putting your music above other people. This is probably one of the most important points of all. Like, this instant gratification that we want from our music has to be managed. Like, really managed. You have some wild aspirations with your music. That's great. I mean, it really is. But just know that that outcome that you're searching for is going to take years, not weeks, not months, fucking years. You'll put some music out and your mates and your mum will tell you how great it is, and that's a good start. But to get any real results beyond that is going to take years of dedication to the craft. And you know what's really painful about this one is this kind of expectation from the people around you to deliver on this so-called hobby of yours. Almost like we have to prove ourselves worthy by demonstrating our accomplishments in the field. The results will come, but just know that it's going to take a few years of grinding away at this thing with little to no recognition. You're all watching this like, is he fucking serious? Yeah, I am. Now, this one goes without saying really, but if you're in this game for the money, then you're in for a real surprise. Now, I would like to believe that there is a lot of money to be made in the music industry, and to be honest, there is. But you can forget about making money off your actual music, unless you plan on writing jingles with a ukulele and a whistle. I like to think that money doesn't actually come from music, and to be honest, I haven't really seen any, but that everything around you making music will allow you to make money. For instance, playing live shows, selling merch, brand collaborations, teaching, whatever. Let me just say that if your motivation for making music is the money, then you'd best rethink your strategy. Most musicians out there are flat fucking broke, or they have one or two side hustles to keep their musical venture alive. Now, this is a really common struggle to most people new to making music, especially when they're in their, oh, I'm not too sure what my sound is phase. It can be easy to look at what everyone else is doing and steer your attention towards a particular trending style in the hope that you'll attract some of that audience. And to a certain degree, that may work. Most beginner music makers just want to make music for music's sake. They don't want to be given boundaries or told what they can or cannot do. And you know what? That's fine. You feel free to make whatever music you want. But just know that finding your audience may be tougher than you think, and the music that you made in your bedroom may never leave there. If you want to take music a little more seriously and develop yourself as an artist, just know that growing your audience is tough, especially if you as an artist are all over the place. This is the area of making music that sucks the most for me personally. I fucking hate promoting my own music. I mean, I love the fact that I have a new release out and I'm super excited to share that with the world. And I want to believe that if I post my track to SoundCloud that the masses will follow, but let's be honest, that's not going to happen. There's no incentive for people to click, share, download, stream, purchase your music when music these days is so dispensable. And the disproportion between the engagement I get with a post of my art versus a post of my cat is just astounding. Sometimes I wonder why people even follow me. And when it comes to release day, you have to be relentless. I'll email, Instagram, Facebook, tweet, and WhatsApp people and still get DMs saying, how can I download your music? I often feel like a busker having to chase down people who watched the entire 30-minute show but walked away without putting a coin in the hat. Honestly, it's the worst part of releasing music is actually promoting it and getting that conversion rate. Promoting music is relatively easy, but getting people to do the thing that you want them to do, that's a tough slog. Okay, my final reason why making music sucks is staying mentally strong. You know, the reason why I do what I do is because I've come to realize the challenges that we face as music makers doesn't come from not knowing what to do. You can trip over a dozen tutorials on just about any kind of struggle you're having with the technical side of making music. The information on how to do things is a dime a dozen. Let's look at this new device today. Let's look at this new compressor. I mean, fuck, in this day and age, do we seriously need another tutorial on how to use a fucking compressor? What I believe are the most important areas to talk about are struggles of the mind. This is essentially the most important area of making music, because if you conquer your own mind, making music will be so much easier and your music will be so much better. We face so many struggles as artists, and unfortunately there aren't the same kind of support structures out there like there there are for the technical know-how. You know, in all the music conferences I've been to, mental health is always a hot topic, but it's often at a super extreme level. But what about at a more basic level, a more fundamental level? Why aren't we talking about more mindset techniques, ways for music makers to have more confidence in themselves, to feel more empowered with what they have in front of them, to know if they stick with it and stay the course that they will make something amazing, that they can show the world what they have if they see it through, do the work, focus, and trust in the process. Don't ever forget why you started making music, because what lies on the other side is fucking beautiful. No matter how much we try to fight them, these struggles will be with us on a daily basis. So I hope this video has done some justice to keep it real in some way, because if we're better prepared for the road ahead, we'll know just what to expect and know that it's okay. It's all part of the journey.